Are you in a slump right now? Okay, don't be. I'm gonna try and help. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm gonna be filming a video with no necessary direction, but I do know that I want it to be aimed at people who are in a slump at the moment, or even if you're not in a slump, maybe you can check back on this later. Or if you're not in a slump and you just want some positivity in your life, then I'm here to do that. So if you're new to the channel, which I know a lot of you guys are recently, then you may or may not know that I do struggle with mental health issues. I've had mental OCD since I was a child and I didn't even know what mental OCD was. I've struggled with depression for years and I've also struggled with anxiety for years. I actually find that depression and anxiety kind of create the beautiful cousin, also known as OCD. So when I say I have OCD, it's not like a, oh my gosh, like I can't stop cleaning. I mean, even though that actually is a real thing of OCD, but like the people that just make it up in their heads and self-diagnose. No, I've been diagnosed with all three of these things, and I was put on antidepressants actually a few years back, which I've talked about pretty openly on my channel, and it was to help me mainly with my OCD and then the emotions. The OCD was then causing anxiety and depression because mental OCD is a total pain in the ass, and it's really difficult when you're in it. You feel like you're never gonna get out of it, and it makes you feel like you are losing it, like you just can't possibly face another day. I've had a lot of talks on YouTube during my anxious moments because they have been a form of therapy for me, but they've also helped a lot of you guys in the process as well. I've gotten so many DMs, so many actual in-person interactions from people saying, thank you so much for opening up about your mental health. Thank you for not making it this, monster under the bed that nobody wants to confront. And I'm always surprised, I guess I'll say that. I'm always surprised at how much it helps people, especially when you hear it in person or you receive the message, because I would say it's definitely the most touching when I hear it in person or even receive DMs. I mean, it just pulls at my heartstrings, really does. But one thing that I haven't been the greatest at is tackling the monster under the bed during my good moments, the moments where I'm feeling really uplifted and really positive and just on top of the world. And I'll get people saying, like, please film an update, like let us know how you're feeling. Are you still feeling anxious? What did you do to get out of the slump? And I never do it. I've never followed up because I find that when I'm feeling good, I don't want to do anything to mess that up. I don't want to face it. I just want to leave it under the bed where I put it. And today, we're not going to do that. Today, we're going to face it head on, and I don't know, I just want to tell you guys that it's going to be okay. So a few months back, I talked about how I was in a really bad slump. I was feeling anxious about a lot of things, relationship-wise, friendship-wise, dating-wise. Like, I would say relationship-wise is a very broad category. It could fall into dating, it could fall into work relationships, it could fall into friend relationships, it could fall into family relationships. It pretty much tackles every category. And I was also struggling with my own personal relationship with myself, and I was, and still have been, dealing with a lot of self-image issues, a lot of See, this is why it's hard. You have to sit and think about it. I've struggled with a lot of self-image issues, with a lot of OCD issues and confidence and feeling like I'm not good enough, and then my mental OCD came back, and then I stopped taking my antidepressants and all of that. So I guess I just wanted to sit down and talk about what I've been doing recently to sort of fix this, and hopefully it'll be insightful for you guys. So the first thing I did was I started taking my antidepressants again. Never, ever, ever stop taking your antidepressants or any mental health medicinal thing for your body cold turkey. I would do it all the time, and it definitely, I faced the repercussions of that constantly. It felt like every time Riley was visiting, or every time I was talking to my aunt, she's like, you seem a little off, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, I haven't taken my meds for a week. And she's like, you can't do that. And I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? Because what would happen is I would just forget for 2 or 3 days, and then 3 days would turn into a week, and then I would feel it. For those 2 or 3 days, I felt invincible. I don't know what the scientific reasoning is. I'm no science expert at all. My children are going ballistic. Hey, excuse me. And then by the end of the week, I was crashing, obviously. And so anyway, I ended up stopping for a month, and that caused a ruckus big time. Oh, by the way, guys, I cut my hair. If you saw it on Instagram, then you already know. But yeah, I cut my hair. That's maybe also why I'm feeling like a weight is lifted off of my body. But anyway, going back to it, the first thing I did was I obviously just started taking my meds again. That is very important if you are currently on it. Again, like, you should definitely seek a doctor as far as like how to go back to like taking the right prescription amount and all of that, and like getting back to that prescription amount. But if you did stop cold turkey, talk to somebody about that, because it's very likely affecting the things in your brains big time, in your brains, because you have multiple brains. You're so smart, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful. The second thing I would say is I recently made an abundance of amazing friends, and these people just crawled into my life, and then they were like, we're gonna nest in your hair and we're gonna live here forever. And they did, and I am just so happy. So if you can, try and make some remarkable friends. And the way that I made my friends was really just by stepping outside of my comfort zone. If one of my friends invited me to a game night where I wasn't gonna know anybody, I was like, no. And then I said no again, and then they'd be like, they kept inviting me. And so I finally said yes, and that was how I started making a ton of friends. Signed up for acting classes, made 4 tight friends that I love with all my freaking heart. There's just so many different opportunities to make friends, and I know it feels like there isn't because you're like, no, I already know everyone, or it's so awkward, it's so hard, and it is. But if you just step out of your comfort zone, take a class somewhere, or go on Meetup, or something like that, like, you will make some good friends. And I think that's something that's just really important to touch on. This is for those of you who are dealing with anxiety or depression or OCD, and I'm sure we've all been there at some point in our lives. And even if it was just really subtle anxiety, I just want you to know it's gonna get better. It will so freaking get better, but it has to start with you. It has to start with you accepting the way that you feel, confronting it head on, talking to the people you love most about it, and just saying it out loud. That was one of the best feelings, is when I would be talking to somebody, especially my aunt, and I'd be like, I'm depressed, and she'd be like, the first step is acceptance, and just saying it out loud and knowing that this is real, because that's already so much more than a lot of people are willing to do. If you're one of those people, it's time to say it out loud, it's time to accept it, and it's time to start making the necessary steps to feel better and to work towards being the happier you that you remember once being. Because we can always remember, like when I would be at the peak of my anxiety, I would just be like, I remember 6 months ago waking up without feeling a knot in my chest, and without feeling like I was gonna throw up, and without these scary, terrifying thoughts in my head that I couldn't shake. Like, I remember it. Why can't I find that again? Why can't I get back to that girl? We have to find out how to get you back to that. And I think a huge part of it is obviously gonna be therapy. Talk to people that you know, talk to people that you love. Get out of bed, for God's sake. Give yourself like an hour or 2 to lie in there and do nothing, but then force yourself out of bed. And I know how freaking hard that is, but you have to do it. Whether that means setting an alarm, making sure that one of your closest friends comes and knocks at your door, makes their way into your house and says, time to get the hell up. If they live in a different country, have them FaceTime you, have your phone on loud. But get out of bed, go get is it vitamin D? What is the stuff in the sun that makes you happy? Get some of that in your life. Experience the sun, experience the blue skies, and feel natural air. And look around you. Go and sit at a park and people watch. There are so many different things that you could do for free, and it just means you have to get out of bed. Go for a walk at the park, like, just get out of bed. And if you can, get out of bed and then go to the gym, and then pick up a class. Do all 3 of those things. Now, I know this is gonna sound bizarre, but at the peak of my anxiety, this is gonna sound super weird, and it's not for everybody, but when I would be like super freaking anxious, I would watch movies. This might not be good for everybody. Definitely only do this if you actually think it'll work for you. But oftentimes when I'm feeling like this nervous pent-up energy, anxiety inside my body that I don't understand what it's targeted at, why it's happening, like, this happens for me a lot. Not so much now, because I'm kind of moving past this phase right now. I will put on a movie that is anxious driven. So like I'll put on like a really intense drama or like a really intense action movie, because it gives me something to channel that anxiety towards. And I know that sounds so bizarre, and a physician may totally not recommend this. It's just something I used to do to try and help me during those moments. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes I was like, nope, this is not a good idea. But oftentimes it did work. But I just want you to know that whatever you're going through, it is going to pass. It's not going to last forever. I know it feels like it's gonna last forever, but it's really not gonna last forever. and just don't give up. Trust this process. Realize that this process is only there to help you grow. Everything that we go through you should view it as a stepping stool to help you get to the next, major accomplishment in your life, to the next level of knowledge and awareness in your life. And that's something that has been huge for me. Read self-help books, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, The Happiness Trap. Those are the first two that I could think of. Those are the ones that have impacted me the most clearly. The Worry Trick, that's another great one. There's a lot of really good books out there that are gonna help you during moments like this, especially if you can't afford a therapist. I know healthcare is a huge thing right now for a lot of people, but if it's really something that's unavailable to you, just get some self-help books, because it'll feel like you have somebody there talking with you, even though they're not there. Because I find that the authors that I've read, they really talk to you in a way where you feel like they're in the room with you, and you might even find that an audiobook or a podcast or something would be more up your alley as well. Now, really quick before I end off this video, because I know this has been very scattered and that's how I do it, but I do want to also take a moment to reflect on girls and guys and those who don't identify with the gender. I do want to take a moment to talk about self-confidence and loving the skin that you're in and loving your image, because it's a huge thing, especially now in this day and age. And it's something that I struggle with, and I will continue to struggle with probably for a very long time, and I accept this. Recently, I did a video with Franny, Emily, and Nessa, and it was on Franny's channel of us taking off our makeup, and like filming ourselves taking off our makeup and answering questions about insecurities and confidence and loneliness, and I was just like, Franny, you're an angel. Who just thinks of this off the top of their head? And it was probably one of the best videos I've ever filmed to date, just because it was so pure. It was so freaking pure, and it stuck with me for the next several days after we filmed it. All I want to say is that you are not alone in not always loving the way that you look. It's a very common thing today because of everything that we see on social media. It's a highlight reel. We're smiling, we're happy, we're this, we're that, we're posing a certain way, we're angling the camera, but it's a highlight reel. And just remember that Instagram is nothing but a highlight reel, and you're perfect just the way you are. Whenever I get a comment of someone saying like, I wish I looked like this person, or I wish I looked like you, or I want to have this on my body or whatever, I'm like, hey girl, it's important, if you want to do that to your body, do it. But remember that you're perfect without it, or guy, or unidentified gender. Like, you are who you are, and it's awesome, and it rocks. And this is something I'm still teaching myself. This is one of those moments where I'm talking to the camera, but I'm kind of talking to myself. You're perfect just the way that you are. You don't need to change anything about yourself, because you rock just the way you are and just the way you look. If you want to make changes to your body, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, I'm not here to tell you whether you can or cannot. I'm not here to tell you whether you should or you shouldn't. But before you make any changes like that, please just make sure that you are so happy with yourself as is. Going down that road is a very slippery path if you're not happy with what you currently see in the mirror. It can become a very brutal, a very expensive, and a very painful process mentally and physically. Please accept yourself as you are. I oftentimes will be with Riley and I'm like, oh my God, I wish that I looked like Lily Reinhart. I think she's the most beautiful girl. I recently met her, freaked out. Big Riverdale fan, have been an Archie fan since I was a kid, and she was just beautiful. I mean, like, you see her in the show and then you see her in person and she looks she's beautiful in the show, but it's almost like she's like identical to that person, if not even more beautiful in person, and just so radiant and gorgeous and soft-spoken and sweet. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be her. And Riley was like, but why? You're perfect the way you are. Why are you comparing yourself to something that you simply cannot be? Because you're you and she's her. And I was like, that's a really good point. But it's something we just can get so caught up in. And I think instead we should start a movement. Instead of saying, I wish I looked like this person, just saying, I wish I looked like me. Oh wait, I do. Okay, that's a really long hashtag. Maybe that's not an option. That should be what you think to yourself. Oh my God, I wish I looked like Jasmine Garcia. Oh wait, I do look like Jasmine Garcia. I am Jasmine Garcia. Oh my God. So I guess that's it for this little chit chat. I just want you to know you're beautiful, and whatever slump you're going through, it's gonna go away and it's gonna get better, but the first step has to start with you, and it has to start with you accepting, and it has to start with you trying to make the necessary changes. Really listen to every bullet point that I gave you guys, because I genuinely believe that it is, and it was, and it has been, it's been a necessary step and a pivotal point during my darkest, shittiest, unbearable moments. Yeah, I guess that's all. I really love when I have these moments. I feel so much better after I talk about them, and there's something beautiful about going into a video totally unplanned. Granted, all of my videos are like that, but like, you know, when I'm doing like a finish that lyric challenge, go watch my last video. Just kidding. I mean, if you want to, you can. Should I add a card, or is that like, oh my god, she's like plugging herself, whatever, watch it. You know, those videos are a bit like, okay, we're going on camera, we're gonna be silly, we're gonna be fun, this is who we are. But when it's something like this, like I just literally put the camera on, I'm like, okay, what are we talking about today? Some people will have like bullet points in their phone. I don't do that. Why do bullet points when I am a bullet point? Do you guys see this frickin' zit? I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I actually have to get ready to go grab some dinner with my friends. I know this is a bit more of a different energy, but I really do hope it helps some of you guys out there, and you're beautiful. I love you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Besitos. Bye.